Joseph Fidler Walsh, born November 20, 1947, is an American guitarist, singer, and songwriter. In a career spanning over 5 decades, he has been a member of 3 successful rock bands: James Gang, Eagles, and Ringo Starr and his All-Starr band. He was also part of the New Zealand band Herbs. In the 1990s, he was a member of the short-lived supergroup The Best. Walsh has also experienced success both as a solo artist and as a prolific session musician, being featured on a wide array of other artists' recordings. In 2011, Rolling Stone placed him at the No. 54 spot on its list of 100 greatest guitarists of all time. In the mid-1960s, after attending Kent State University, Walsh played with several local Ohio-based bands before reaching a national audience as a member of the James Gang, whose hit song, Funk Hash 49 Inches, highlighted his skill as both a guitarist and singer. Roger Abramson, a concert producer and artist manager, signed the James Gang to a management agreement with BPI in Cleveland. After leaving the James Gang in 1972, he formed Barnstorm with Joe Vitale, a college friend from Ohio, and Kenny Passarelli, a bassist from Colorado, where Walsh had moved after leaving Ohio. While the band stayed together for 3 albums over 3 years, its works were marketed as Walsh solo projects. The last Barnstorm album, 1974's So What, contained significant guest contributions from several members of the Eagles, a group that had recently hired Walsh's producer, Bill Szymczyk. At Szymczyk's suggestion, Walsh joined the Eagles in 1975 as the band's guitarist and keyboardist following the departure of their founding member Bernie Leadon, with Hotel California being his first album with the band in 1998. A readers' poll conducted by Guitarist magazine selected the guitar solos on the track Hotel California by Walsh and Don Felder as the best guitar solos of all time. Guitar World magazine listed it at 8th of the top 100 guitar solos. Besides his work with his several bands, he has released 12 solo studio albums, 6 compilation albums, and 2 live albums. His solo hits include Rocky Mountain Way, Life's Been Good All Night Long, A Life of Illusion, and Ordinary Average Guy. As a member of the Eagles, Walsh was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1998, and into the Vocal Group Hall of Fame in 2001. The Eagles are considered to be one of the most influential bands of the 1970s, and they remain one of the best-selling American bands in the history of popular music. His creative contribution to music has received praise from many of the best rock guitarists, including Led Zeppelin's Jimmy Page, who said, "He has a tremendous feel for the instrument. I've loved his style since the early James Gang." Eric Clapton said that, "He's one of the best guitarists to surface in some time. I don't listen to many records, but I listen to his." The Who's guitarist, Pete Townsend, said, "Joe Walsh is a fluid and intelligent player. There are not many like that around." Walsh was born on November 20, 1947, in Wichita, Kansas. His father, Lt. Robert Newton Fidler, was a flight instructor for the Lockheed F-80 Shooting Star in the United States Air Force and died in a plane crash in Okinawa on July 22, 1949. Walsh's mother was a classically trained pianist of Scottish and German ancestry. Walsh was adopted by his stepfather at the age of 5 and given his stepfather's surname, but retained Fidler as his middle name. In the 1950s, it was common practice for children to take the name of their stepfather for Social Security, school registration, and health records. Walsh and his family lived in Columbus, Ohio, for a number of years during his youth. When he was 12, his family moved to New York City. Later, Walsh moved to Montclair, New Jersey, and attended Montclair High School, where he played oboe in the school band. Walsh acquired his first guitar at the age of 10, and upon learning the Ventures' Walk Don't Run, decided that he wanted to pursue a career as a guitarist inspired by the success of the Beatles. He replaced Bruce Hoffman as the bass player in the locally popular group, the Nomads, in Madison, New Jersey, beginning his career as a rock musician. After high school, Walsh briefly attended Kent State University, where he spent time in various bands playing around the Cleveland, Ohio area, including the Measles. The Measles recorded for Super K Productions Ohio Express the songs, "I Find I Think of You and It's True" and "Maybe an instrumental version of "And It's True." He planned to major in English and minor in music. Walsh has also stated he was present during the Kent State Massacre in 1970. Walsh commented in 2012, "Being at the shootings really affected me profoundly. I decided that maybe I don't need a degree that bad after one term." Walsh has been married 5 times. He was married briefly to Margie Walsh in the 1960s, to Stephanie Rhodes from 1971 to 1978, to Juanita Boyer from 1980 to 1988, and to Denise Driscoll from 1999 to 2006. Walsh married Marjorie Bach, sister of Barbara Bach and sister-in-law of Ringo Starr in Los Angeles, on December 13, 2008. His sister-in-law, Susan Walsh, has been a missing person since 1996. Walsh's daughter Lucy Walsh is a musician who has worked with Ashlee Simpson and others. She released her debut solo album, Lost in the Lights, in 2007. Walsh's eldest daughter, Emma Kristen, was born in 1971 and died in 1974 at 3 years of age as a result of injuries suffered in an automobile accident on her way to nursery school. Her story inspired the track, Song for Emma, on Walsh's solo album So What, released later that year. In her memory, he had a fountain and memorial plaque placed in a park in which she played, North Boulder Park in Boulder, Colorado. He has said that the album name So What was a result of Emma's death, that nothing else seemed meaningful or important in the months that followed. The strain eventually contributed to Walsh's divorce from his second wife Stephanie. While touring with singer Stevie Nicks in 1984, Walsh took Nicks to the park's fountain. Nicks subsequently immortalized this story in her song, Has Anyone Ever Written Anything for You?, on her 1985 album Rock a Little. Nicks told the UK's The Daily Telegraph in 2007 that Walsh had been the great love of my life. Joe and I broke up because of the coke. She elaborated to Q. He told my friend and singer Sharon Solani, I'm leaving Stevie, because I'm afraid that one of us is going to die. And the other one won't be able to save the other person, because our cocaine habit has become so over the top now that neither of us can live through this. So the only way to save both of us is for me to leave. Walsh has mentioned having attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder and Asperger's syndrome. Walsh admits to struggling with alcohol and drug addictions for most of his early career and has been in recovery since 1993 and 1989. While touring with New Zealand band Herbs, Walsh experienced an epiphany during a visit to Otatara Pa, an ancient Maori Pa site in the Hawke's Bay region. In 2004, on a return visit to New Zealand, Walsh described the experience and hailed it as the beginning of his recovery from his addiction. Walsh related the story that in 1994,